Wait. I want to be Bruce Lee Mo too.
Bruce Lee, baby.
Did you take your shirt off? Hello, Collection Connection fans. Welcome to Late to the Party, episode 21. This is going to be our Bruce-ploitation themed show. We had the choice last week of Bruce's Cracked Fingers, the clones of Bruce Lee, and the one we ended up choosing, Exit the Dragon, Enter the Tiger. This movie is from January of 1976. The director is Sonam Lee, and let's see, it's got a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, 66% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 94% of Google users like this movie. So it's fairly popular. And this is from the most famous of the Bruce Lee knockoffs, Bruce Lee. He's actually a Taiwanese actor. And Tian Huang Ju Xing. So he got his name stolen and he got stuck as Bruce Lee. And like I was saying at the end of the last episode, when Bruce Lee died in 73, he left a huge vacuum. And in typical Chinese fashion, there was two basic studios. There's the Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest. The Shaw Brothers just basically came up with a million counterfeit Bruce Lees and stuck them out there in the true Chinese fashion instead of coming up with somebody great and original. And the Golden Harvest crew went out and tried to find the next thing, and they ended up discovering Jackie Chan and created like the kung fu / comedy genre that Jackie Chan was famous for. But that's beside the point. For this one, it's either really bad or really great or somewhere in between for our reviewers today. And we're going to start with Lego. What did you really like about this movie?
I really liked the Donkey Kong barrel fight scene. That was so fun. Man, the soundtrack was kicking. And they were throwing barrels at him. He's dodging and kicking. I think I saw him step on a turtle. That was a fun fight scene to get me hyped. That definitely stole the show for me.
For sure. Isaac?
I love when he went to the hospital to visit, I forgot the chick's name, and he tells the cop that he's Bruce Lee. And the cop, it's so like, just so dumb. The cop's acting so bad. Oh, yeah, I got it. Yeah. I thought it was funny. That part was funny. That's what really stuck out to me.
Oh, maybe I can be in a movie with you.
Yeah. Just the acting so bad. But that was my favorite part.
Okay. Let's see, Scott's.
I like the fight with Pinky the Giant. That was one of my favorite. I like that fight scene. That was really cool. You just, Baby Huey, Pinky the Giant, fight, no problem. That was I don't know, I just like the way it went down. I like all those like big guys that have to like take a hit. Reminds me of the scene, the fight scene from Princess Bride with Andre the Giant.
Okay.
Makes you wonder if that's where they came from.
Right.
Where and go by exactly.
It's kind of hard to pick a particular scene because there are so many things that were wonderful about this movie. For example, all of the torture scenes with the women and that poor effeminate reporter guy who's getting slapped around all the time. Those were great. There's also the great scene at the beginning of the film where we get to watch Bruce Lee's funeral for real. That was fantastic. But I think the best for me, the best it has to be the fight scenes with the Baron. This whole thing about some low rent, drug dealer who is so good at kung fu that he can fight one-handed most of the time is amazing. It was, and even though it was real campy, it was so enjoyable. I was smiling the whole time I was watching it. I really was.
Yeah, the real life shots of his dead body in the casket maybe doesn't happen. As far as those questions when you ask, could this movie be made today? Maybe without the actual dead bodies.
Yeah.
Jose?
Yes. I love how progressive this film was. He didn't discriminate on who got these hands, baby. Everybody got it. That fight with that girl in the gym, beautiful. Using the gymnastics equipment, my God, it was amazing. And I liked how he didn't held back on her. He whooped her ass. I was like, "Woo, they're cooking a woman's butt." I don't know if that would fly today. But I like that scene. I like that whole, even the two cuts in between. What happened? There was like a weird cut right in between it, and then it comes back to it.
Yeah, it's, they had a great Lipton iced tea commercial where Bruce Lee is fighting against the Karate Kid. And in the middle of it, there's like a shot. And then Bruce Lee says, "An editing mistake in my favor." And he uses that to take advantage of the Karate Kid. It's all claymation. It's pretty cool. Maybe I'll put a snippet of it in the video here. But
okay.
Those movies were famous. I mean, they would be shooting in the morning, and then it would get dark, and they would just shoot at night, and it would just magically, the sun would change. It was lots of opportunity in those kung fu movies. The Bruce Lee movies themselves that he actually worked on, it's like the earlier you went, the less he had his hands on the movies. He only made I want to say 5 movies. So himself, and there's if you go and you put through searches, there'll be a million that you think you can see because they have all those Bruce Lau and Bruce Liu and Bruce Leroy. You guys remember Bruce Leroy, The Last Dragon? He was who's the master? Show enough. So let's say music. This film's music was composed by Fu Lang Chao under the name of Chao Fu Lung. Similar to other film scores by Fu Lang Chao, excerpts from popular music of that time can be heard interpolated in the score. These excerpts include pieces of John Barry's 1974 score to The Man with the Golden Gun, Pink Floyd's Shine On You Crazy Diamond, and Isaac Hayes' theme to Three Tough Guys, among others. So in traditional, Bruce Lee dies, we're just going to make Bruce lie and roll with it. These songs are great in other movies. Perfect. We'll just steal that shit and put it in this movie. It's just so Chinese the way they don't care about intellectual property at all, and they just snatch it and put it in there. But this is one of the better ones from that. So let's talk about things that we did not like about this movie, and we'll start with our lady of the crew, Miss Liz. Any scene that struck you as, oh my God, this is horrible? Extra, particularly one that stuck out extra hard, because there's probably plenty that you have to choose from.
It was tough to find a scene that I really liked, so I don't know, the whole when the Baron just first shows up, he just kind of pulls up and he just gets out and he's in his little I don't even know what that was. Was it a robe?
It looked like a white serape.
And then he just kind of walks down this business hallway. That's the doctor hallway to my doctor when I go get my blood taken and stuff. It's that's the hallway for that. And then he just sits down and just starts winging. I expected more from the boss. Let's put it that way. I expected more from a dude named the Baron and everybody was afraid of, and he's the guy that started some shit that caused possibly Bruce Lee to die. I mean, yeah, that part. I was not impressed with the bad guy at all. His opening, he did not have a Darth Vader entrance, let's put it that way.
All right, Jose?
I was kind of gonna want to say what Liz said. I wasn't that impressed with the bad guy. It's kind of a like a wah 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 sort of moment. It's like the only thing that could have made it any better was just to kind of add that sound effect. That probably would have helped.
Right.
Isaac, anything besides the bad guy?
I wanted to say the bad guy. Because like Liz said, you're hoping for that Darth Vader moment for a bad guy, and it's not delivered with this guy, and it's just like, how could this be the bad guy, the big boss?
How did this guy kill Bruce Lee?
Yeah, like
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
it was terrible. It could have been so much. Who knows? Maybe that was the only actor they were stuck with.
Josh,
Uh,
Josh, come on, man.
Well, honestly, the beginning scene where they're doing the funeral of Bruce Lee, that started the film off on a real disturbing note, and it really gave you the sense about how exploitative this movie really was to take that, because you get Bruce Lee's wife is in there, Brandon Lee is in there. There's like a bunch of celebrities there. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Bolo Young is like in that shot, and I'm sure none of those people got like dime one. They just grabbed the footage off of like CBS or something and threw that shit in there for the first like 5 minutes of the film, and you're like, man, yeah. So that part was, I guess that was emotionally disturbing. The whole thing with the Baron, yeah, he's a 2-bit thug, but this is a kung fu movie, man. They're not always like top-notch villains.
This is true. All right, and then Lego. Is there something that you didn't like about this movie, Mr. Lego?
No. This movie was great.
Those glasses are dope. You're excellent.
Oh, am I wearing something? I didn't notice.
Okay, so we'll go through in the same order that we went last time, so try to remember where you went. Could this movie be made today?
Oh, so that means I get to start off. Yeah, I mean, it could be. That's the thing with this. It's always, could these movies be made today? Yes, they could still be made today. Should they be made today is the question. It's not could they, it's should they. No, they should not. But yeah, I mean, with stuff like popping up, everything's coming back around again. You can always do these movies again. Yeah, it's a found footage. Was Bruce Lee a super spy? Let's do that one instead. That would be a great one that they can like. And he's really not dead, just like Elvis Presley. I mean, the possibilities are endless with these streaming services and doing weird stuff like that. For sure.
Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep for Bruce Lee. That's right. The Bubba Hotep version of Bruce Lee. So, I mean, there's little things in it that are definitely like in the time. So I'm sure that everybody's gonna get upset about it if they still put those types of things. like the woman getting beat up in the fight, full on, But no, I think it could be made today. These types of movies aren't necessarily my forte and favorite, so I don't know if I'll be lining up for it, but I'm sure that there's a market for it still.
Well, these movies, I mean, not in this way. The movies, they're still making movies that pay homage to Bruce Lee nowadays. There's like series and movies and other things. There's like statues of Bruce Lee all like in Holland, like all over the place. He's probably the world's largest superstar just because of most people being Chinese in the world. So, and these movies, they're still made today, not in the same way. They gave up on trying to make Bruce Lau and Bruce Lowe. That in that aspect, it doesn't happen anymore. But there's always different biopics that come out. Recently Tarantino did a really shitty thing on Bruce Lee in one of his movies. So there's always some kind of phenomenon. They put Bruce Lee in a UFC video game. He's also, credited as the creator of modern mixed martial arts. If you dig into it, Dana White and the rest of those guys will point the fingers back. He even created the prototype for mixed martial arts gloves to fight with. So he left a pretty huge hole that the Chinese tried to fill in with copyright violations and, like Josh said, just stealing people's images and whatnot. So let's see. Josh, you're a pretty astute dude. Is there a 5-minute thing they could have added into this movie to sort of bridge some gaps to make it a little bit more palatable for somebody like Liz, who isn't a diehard Kung Fu fan?
No, probably not. I don't think this kind of thing is the kind of movie that Liz or a whole lot of chicks are going to be into. But I would say that there could be a 5-minute segment that I was thinking about that could flesh out the movie a lot better, and that's an ending. How about an ending? They have this great fight scene at the end, right on the rocks on the beach, and he does this badass move where he flips the tables on the Baron and like gets him, and then I literally looked down at my phone to see like a Facebook update, and when I looked up, the credits were rolling, and I'm like, what happened? There was no resolution to the film whatsoever. He defeats the bad guy, and we don't find out like what's going on with his friends or the girl. Did he solve anything with Bruce Lee? Nothing. It's just credits. And I was like, what happened? We need some resolution. These guys, I don't know if they blew all their budget on stealing the Bruce Lee funeral tapes out of America or something. I don't know.
Yeah, literally what happened, because I was in the back room, my dad and Josh were in the front of the house, my dad's house, watching this, and I was in the back room down the hall, and all of a sudden I hear this, what the fuck? Both of them. What the hell just happened? Yeah, so
that was really off-putting. I was disappointed because as an American, I need an ending to things. I need resolution. Maybe that's a Chinese thing where you can just choose your own adventure for what happens next. I don't know.
It's big. It happens a lot. I thought you guys would be stoked about that with the Python movies and the.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare! You keep your teeth together, you criminal.
Anybody else want to chime in with something we could put in there to bridge some gaps before we get to the buckets?
They could have put a few more pictures of Bruce Lee in the background. They reused a few, so maybe they could have used some different ones. Maybe a couple more naked chicks, or the dude with the jackhammer. That was kind of cool. They should have done more of that. More pics of Bruce.
You know what was crazy was that was supposed to be his house. So at his house, he has a picture of himself on his nightstand. Talk about vanity.
Who doesn't?
Signed. It's even signed.
Well, they wanted to make it look authentic, right? I mean, if you're as big a star as Bruce Lee is, you would have your own pictures all over the walls, right? Or maybe not. All right. So let's get down to the dirty on the buckets. Remember, we're talking about acting, writing, historical relevance, and all the other good stuff. And we'll start with Mr. Vargas.
Thank you, sir. The story wasn't the greatest, but it was still fun. I definitely do think that these movies should be made. Anything with Bruce Lee. He seems to be a really iconic person, and with a lot of garbage out today, it'd be refreshing to see somebody who was actually influential and inspiring in a good way. So with that said, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Nice. Isaac?
I concur with Jose. I give it a 6 as well. 6 buckets.
For sure. To the Scott.
Oh wait, me? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the 6. As much as I was like, meh, it still was fun, and you know, I could follow the story a little bit, and the fight scenes were spaced out just enough to keep me interested. So yeah, 6 out of 10.
Josh?
I'm probably going to go a little bit higher. I think the movie is really fun to watch, and I think that the choreography for the fight scenes is one of those things that is the real dividing line between American films and Chinese films of that time period. I can think of several American films where the fight choreography is just miserable from those days. And this movie, there were a few spots that you could notice where, like, okay, you know, wrong camera angle or whatever, but every fight scene was pretty good. The story's a little convoluted. The acting is not always top-notch. The directing, probably, there's not a whole lot to it, and it definitely didn't have any kind of influence whatsoever. So I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay. You guys are holding this movie up higher than I thought you would. That's great. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna save Lego for the end of this because we want to go out in the grandiose style. But I'll get back for these movies I'm into them. So I've seen a million kung fu movies, and as far as like having an eye for these things, the choreography in this one wasn't that great. It was one of the first Bruceploitation movies, and it was with the best Bruce Lee imitator, at least as far as what the guy who looked the most like Bruce Lee. Mm-hmm. But there's other guys who were Bruceploitation guys who had the fighting style more down like Bruce Lee, and they would try to talk like he did and act like he did. So there was other people who had a little bit more Bruce in their Bruceploitation than Bruce Lee did. The story wasn't great, and if you guys remember, I just went on a crazy kung fu movie binge. So I agree with Josh in the sense that the choreography is better compared to American movies at the time, but just compared to other Chinese movies at the time, the choreography really was lacking. So I mean, for me, I'm sad to say I'm going to give this one a 3, which is, as the guy who brought the nunchucks to the show, you know, I'm probably going to be the one giving it the lowest score. But as far as Bruceploitation go, this movie disappointed me. So we'll caboose this and cap it off with Lego's review, The Mysterious Lego. I wonder what Lego scores this movie.
So we had it all. The hot babes on the wall. Torture. Good fights. I mean, the directing was great. The editing team really nailed it. I didn't notice any cuts that were too off-putting. And, the choreography was sick. They didn't pull any punches. I'm going to give this a solid 10. Easy 10 for me.
Perfect. Always like to round it off with a great Lego and his awesome glasses and his great look for the evening. So, in traditional late to the party fashion, I'm going to be passing the nunchucks of the show on to another host this week, and staying true with our rotation, I'm going to give them to Josh.
I accept.
Take the nunchucks. He passed them to you.
Yeah, Paul, what's wrong with you?
I don't use nunchucks. I use a shield, dude. Hello.
That was an editing mistake. Then I passed the nunchucks. He gets a shield.
Oh, there we go.
It's
All right.
vomit.
A bad cut. All right. I've got 2 more categories for you guys, and they're actually interrelated. And it'll become apparent in a few moments here why that is. But 2020 has been a hell of a year, and we've lost a lot of greats this year. And so the 2 categories that I am presenting to you folks, the first one is not shaken or stirred, and the second one is more plainly titled Honoring Connery.
I can see why those are intertwined.
Yeah, so those are the 2 categories: not shaken or stirred, or honoring Connery.
I say we honor Connery.
I'm gonna keep it cool. We'll do the Bond one.
Not shaken or stirred.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's 1 for each.
I have the feeling that the honoring Connery might have the Rock, so I'll take my chances. I'll go with honoring Connery.
All right.
Same with the honoring Connery.
All right, that's 3. So I guess that's all we need. All right. So your options for honoring Connery are going to be 1986's Highlander, 1990's The Hunt for Red October, and a real surprise, 1981's Time Bandits.
Highlander.
I want Time Bandits.
I'm with Isaac for Highlander. There can be only one.
I'll do Time Bandits.
Uh-oh.
So we got 2 and 2. Lego, what do you got for us?
Gonna be a jerk and say
I
Hunt for
really
Red
want to
October.
say Time Bandits, but I really don't want to watch.
I
Oh,
honor
man.
your decision.
Fuck it, let's do it. Time Bandits. Let's do it.
1981's Time Bandits. I didn't bother looking any of this up, so you gotta find it yourself.
Oh my.
But the good news is that I own all 3 of these movies, so it's not gonna be a problem for us.
Yeah, we found it. It's right over there.
So Time Bandits. That's
Look it
our.
up real quick and see if you
Oh,
can
come
find
on.
it. You jerk.
Look, the same thing we can do. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that we have this backwards. What we need to do is we need to find something that they don't have that they can't stream.
They have everything.
They didn't have Exit the Dragon, Enter the Tiger.
I'm willing to bet,
We
Josh.
do
I'm,
now.
The
I'm willing to bet
interweb,
he doesn't have a copy of Friday.
the interwebs say
We
that,
do.
that you can get Time Bandits on Hulu, HBO Max, and Amazon Prime.
Woo!
For $3.99.
Oh,
That's with the subscription.
Well, yeah, they're all with subscriptions. So
Ooh.
there you go.
Oh yeah, HBO Max.
Nice.
There we go. All right. Thanks for joining us on another Kung Fu adventure. Late to the party, episode 21. Next week, we will have Time Bandits for you.
Oh.
For Late to the Party, I'm Nate the Great, signing off.
Oh, I'm Liz.
And Josh.
I'm Isaac.
Jose.
Jason.
Thrilled to be alive. Great.